Hello and welcome back to another Coffee and Heroes podcast. Time for our monthly preview show. This, of course, is a show where we go through the previews books, pick out the best titles, what is most deserving of your hard-earned cash, and making sure you don't miss out on any new titles coming up. This is going to be going through the October books for December 2024 releases.
December what?
That is the dulcet tones of my co-host as ever, Mr. Keith Miller. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you on this fine new comic book day.
Indeed, it's always nice to record on a Wednesday. I should say, of course, your host Alan from Coffee and Heroes, but if you're listening to this, you probably know that by now anyway. But
every podcast could be someone's first.
Well, it could.
Hopefully it is.
Always nice to hear if it's growing, certainly. I mean, obviously, we're playing around with format and different things and all the rest, so it's nice to get a little bit of feedback and let people know that this is a valuable tool for them, although it's more that we get more threats for, why do you have to recommend so many good things? My wallet can't handle it. But you'll be delighted to know.
Are you saying that we're valuable tools?
We are valuable. I mean, that's a business card right there. Valuable tools.
We'll take that to Thought Bubble with us, will we?
I think that could be a plan. I mean, you mentioned Thought Bubble. Obviously, this is obviously more of an informative podcast, but we'll throw this out anyway. But yeah, no, we're booked for Thought Bubble this year. It's going to be a group of 6 of us going. Thought Bubble, of course, is a yearly Comic-Con in Harrogate in England, just outside of Leeds. And
some would say the premier UK comic book.
Well, you say convention. Some would say. I would say.
I would agree.
I've been twice. You've been once before. We obviously, went over together before. And, this is a Comic-Con where it's artists, it's writers, it's creators, and it's stores. The only danger is it can get expensive.
It can get expensive, but it's a real cool community. Mm-hmm. We've met some folks over there the last time we were over, and of course, if anybody who listens to the pod is over in Harrogate for Thought Bubble at that time, feel free to drop us a wee message. We'd be happy to sit down for a coffee, chat, pint, whatever comes.
Coffee, chat, and a pint all at the same time,
if you like. A nice coffee stout.
But yeah, as you said, it's a real celebration of the medium. It's just a small little town, but for that weekend, it's Comic Central. So we're very much looking forward to that. If you've not heard of it before and it's something that interests you, it's the middle of November. It takes place, I believe, 15th, 16th, 17th over that weekend. So something for us to look forward to. But further down the line, as I say, we have December releases, and that's what we're here to chat about today.
Damn it, December. I mean, that's coming up quick. It really is. The end of the year. Like, where, as you said earlier on off mic, where has it gone?
It's gone up in a puff of great comic releases, and because it's such a relentless industry, you never have time to turn around and look at the date, I think. But yeah, no, as I say, we're going to be going through the previous books, as always, here, just picking out the best things for you. I mean, December's an interesting month when it comes to comic solicitations, I find, because obviously sorry, Keith, I have to say it. Obviously, it's the month of Christmas.
We are talking about December, so it's fine to talk about Christmas.
As long as we're okay. I just wanted to clear that.
There won't be any issues here. There'll be a load of issues, obviously, but there'll be no Christmas-related issues. We're not celebrating Christmas. We're just talking about Christmas.
Well, I say it not to rile you. Oh, calm down, Keith. Stop. No, I say it not to get you riled up. I just say more from the point of view of, I find that a lot of big titles don't really get released in December. I think people are looking more collected editions and gifts and things like that. So I was fine with the single issue side of things, just from our experience in the sort of 7-8 years we've been open, that December is sort of a quieter month for the single issue releases, and I think that's definitely reflected here in the indie book more than anything else. But
yeah, the pull lists kind of get a wee bit squiffy, don't they?
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks of the year, there tends to be more stuff sort of held back until the start of the year, or your pull list is massive one week, and you're like, okay, well, that'll sort me over Christmas, but yeah, interesting time.
And from a store point of view as well, we always get like a double delivery just before Christmas because there's no deliveries between the 25th and the 31st and things like that. So yeah, it can be an interesting month when it comes to comics. I mean, saying that, looking at the DC stuff, I do think it is a strong month for DC because they're continuing to build upon the All In initiative, which is, launched this October. We've seen the first embers of that today.
Today, indeed.
With the All In special, which has just come out, and then Absolute Batman comes out next week. So the Absolute titles, certainly by the time we get to December, they're still in their early stages. So,
and just, I know it's a previews podcast rather than a reviews podcast, but it is New Comic Book Day. DC All In one shot is out. We had the fortunate convergence earlier on of me bringing you back here to our studio, which is in my house, a little early. I had to head off to the gym for an hour, so you were digging into your pull list. Did you get a chance to read all that?
I got a little bit of reading done. The All-In special is fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, it's, first of all, the first thing to say about it is the value is incredible. It's a 56-pager. It's a $5 book. It's, all killer, no filler, as they say. Every page means something. It's essentially two stories. It's in a flip book, so one side is from the hero's point of view, and the other side is from Darkseid's point of view, and they sort of meet in the middle.
Leave it there.
I'll not talk too much. We will be back to chat about it next month, I'm
Last
sure.
time I saw a flip book, I think it was during the 90s, whenever Spider-Man was going through his power and responsibility phase through
Is
the Clone
that
Saga.
not what he's always going through?
But the actual storyline was called Power and Responsibility. And there was a flip book there. On the other side, it was... Oh, my, yeah, anyway, I'll not go into it, but that was flip book territory.
We talk about it all the time, what was, considered old hat in the past. It all comes back around and we're saying nothing but shiny foil covers and loads of variants
this week.
And flip books and decal covers and etc.
Andy was a very, very happy man whenever I saw him today in the store.
Yeah.
Shiny covers.
A lot of shiny covers, a lot of them. But as I say, with DC certainly in December, the Absolute line that is launching this month, it's still early on, so plenty of time still to get signed up for those, and we've ordered big on it, so we'll take care of you there.
So what is the DC book looking like in December generally?
Well, that's the thing. There's some great new titles there as well. You've essentially got the headline titles from, friend of the pod, Ram V, artist Evan Cagle. I'm really looking forward to that because that just speaks to my inner Kirby, which is almost sacrilege to say about DC rather than Marvel, but there is a reason for that.
He did run off and do that Wii thing at DC before he came back home.
Yeah, then he went back to the House of Ideas, where I think he's much more well known for, but I think DC, certainly in the past, he got to be a little bit more unfiltered with what he did. And
that's fair.
One thing led to another. But yeah, there's that title. There's a few new interesting titles set in Gotham, because there always is, including a new Christian Ward penned comic featuring a Batman Rogues Gallery original.
Another friend of the pod there.
Indeed. Oh, just name dropping left, right, and centre. That's great. And then the other big thing to look at, as I was saying in the intro about how December sees a lot of good collected editions and things that might make good gifts. The DC Compact line continues to expand in December. The DC Finest line, their equivalent to Marvel Epic Collections. There's one or two omnibuses in there as well. So yeah, it's still a pretty stacked month for DC, I would say. But
those compact editions are cool.
Yeah,
I do need my reading glasses to make the best of them, but because they are that smaller format.
Yeah.
To be fair, I need my reading glasses for most things that I read now. So that's not.
But yeah, those books, honestly, they just fly out. I mean, again, we're talking New Comic Book Day, and I got 10 copies in each of Catwoman by Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook, and American Vampire Book 1. And by the end of today, we were down to 2 copies in store. So it's that price point, it's the value. I mean, American Vampire, it's the first 11 issues. It's around 12 issues for the Catwoman one. So yeah, those compact lines, it's the best new initiative I've seen from DC in terms of graphic novels in years. So,
game changer, wee bit of a game changer on the DC side there.
Absolutely. And what about Marvel? How's it looking in December?
Well, as you say, it is coming up to the festive season, so Marvel are unwrapping some holiday treats, as is their wont. So there's plenty of goodies for your little spider stocking. There is they always do, a handful of sort of holiday based titles, and even more so since they were bought by Marvel or bought by
Disney
and became more Mickey Mouseified.
Yeah,
so there'll be a bunch of those. But we've got the Marvel Holiday Tales to Astonish, which is an anthology with a variety of Christmas themed tales. We've got Time Slide, which the past 3 or 4 years, Jed McKay has written like an end of year book, which
Timeless, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's Timeless, and it was called something else. So there's a version of that, that tradition, that year end one shot that sort of teases what's coming, over the next year or two.
Yeah,
with the plans. Over with X-Men, we've got the launch of Laura Kinney, Wolverine #1, which puts the former X-23 back in her own solo title. I know that particular Wolverine is a favourite of Vicky's, if I recall.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Taylor did a great run a few years back. I think that helped get her into Marvel Comics quite a bit.
And then we've got all new Venom #1, which will introduce a new host for the most famous symbiote of all. And I would suggest that from the front cover of the Marvel Previews book, that it's not just a new host, but it's a new symbiote as well, I think. But maybe I'm off, or maybe I'm saying too much. on the Spider-Man side, and we've got him in a spin-offs. Spidey will be getting a new title in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which will tie into an upcoming animated series. So plenty going on. There's plenty going on in the omnibus end of the previews book as well. But I have been diving into that a little too much these past few months. So less said, easier mended.
Yeah, no, you've started to embrace the omnibus format in the last little while. I would
have,
say.
yeah.
It was only a matter of time before you fell into it with all the positive words, myself and Stephen, and the likes of us Omni collectors. And I mean, omnibuses, I always talk about it, they are expensive outlays, but when you realize what's in them, A, that they're all in one place, but B, just the sheer amount of material in there, they actually do work out at really good value. But that's all well and good, but when there's like 5 coming out a month that are really good, it does hit the wallet quite a bit, to say the least. I mean, we had these beautiful Conan ones that came in this week, which
I know
I've nabbed those myself. And
have you got those?
Oh, absolutely. I've never read that early stuff.
That was Conan the Barbarian, Omnibus 1, and the Savage Sword of Conan. They are very much on my list, but I'm also aware that in December we have the projected release of the DC
if it ever comes
versus
out.
Marvel, and the so.
Creators keep teasing those on Twitter, the amalgam omnibuses and DC versus Marvel, but they keep getting moved. So hopefully they will arrive sooner rather than later. So yeah, I mean, that's the Marvel side of things. When it comes to the indie month, or the indie books, as I say, it is a quieter month for the indie side of things, which, sometimes it's not a bad thing, to be honest, but we're still going to be able to showcase some really good collected editions that are worthy additions to your collection. Some of the books we've really, really enjoyed this year, hitting hardcovers and trade paperbacks, that kind of thing. And there are a couple of number ones to keep an eye on as well. But we'll do a bit of a deep dive into the books now. We may as well kick things off with DC. And I'm going to, give the floor to yourself. You're actually going to kick us off in DC for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's one that you mentioned in your initial chat there, but Ram V and Evan Kegel are reshaping the mythology of the DC universe with the return of the New Gods, that aforementioned Kirby vehicle from a long time ago. It's a bit how it was done back then was a wee bit muddled, I guess, but it introduced a lot of different characters, the likes that led to the likes of Mr. Miracle and Big Barda and all of that. But again, Ram V is the writer, art by Evan Kegel, and we've got some variant covers, as you always do. It is a $3.99 book, which is good, and it's under the DC All-In banner. An old god has died, and the reverberations of his passing are felt across the universe, setting forth the soldiers of an intergalactic army and awakening the latent powers of a mysterious child on Earth. But this has all been foreseen, prophesied by the source, and fed as enigmatic images to its agent Metron. Now, as Metron brings word of the cosmos-shattering prediction to the residents of New Genesis and Apocalypse, both worlds are thrown into chaos and conflict. On Earth, Scott-Free and Barda find themselves unaware of this upcoming chaos, while consumed with the most daunting task yet, parenthood. Ram V and Evan Kegel bring the fourth world to a new generation in this epic of cosmic proportions. An old god has died, and the new gods are born.
Yeah,
interesting.
The New Gods number one. I'm really, really looking forward to this. I mean, Twitter in its current form can be a bit of a cesspit, but it can also be a wealth of positivity, and there's nothing but goodwill towards this title. There is serious excitement boiling for this.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because it looks like this almost makes Tom King's Mr. Miracle canon.
Yeah,
would that be fair to say? Because that's where the kid, Mr. Miracle and Big Barda's kid was born.
Yeah.
So I would say that canonizes that particular
Which is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing at all. I wonder, is that mysterious child on Earth their child?
Yeah, there's all kinds of questions which will no doubt be answered. But I mean, like, all of the preview art for this so far just looks spectacular. I mean, Evan Kegel, he was mostly doing covers for Detective Comics during Ram's run, and then he did a book with him recently called Dawn Runner, which is, sort of solidified their working relationship, and now they're moving on to New Gods. So I think this is going to be big. We all have open pre-orders for this already, even before this book dropped, and there's already people making sure this is on the pull. And as you say, it might be a little thing, but it's nice to see a book that's launching at $3.99.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
every number one these days is at least $5, maybe more. And just seeing that at that $4 price point is actually really, really nice to see. I mean, I say that as someone who runs a business, but this is the thing, like, we don't really make much more on a $5 book as we do on to a $4 book, because obviously our discounts are percentages, not amounts.
Yeah.
So I think we make something like 6p more on a $5 book.
Right.
So I would rather someone got $24 books
Yeah, of
than
course.
$25 books,
Yeah.
you know?
Which means you want more for $4
Exactly.
books,
You want more you want everything to be as approachable as possible and as competitively priced as possible. So
Well, then,
seeing those is great to see.
This will please you then, because
Is there another one?
there is.
Awesome.
As the DC universe tears into the unknown, a second book under the All In banner, written by Christopher Cantwell with Shauna Isaacsy, and that is Challengers of the Unknown #1, which is also a $3.99 price point. Has a fantastic Mike Deodato Jr. cover, and that sort of always attracts me. And this is to say Challengers of the Unknown #1, spinning out of absolute power and the DC All In special. The terror of the dark side shockwave has cascaded across the DC universe, tearing open the very fabric of time and space itself. Only one band of super scientists have the right stuff to challenge the fate of a universe. Enter the Challengers of the Unknown. Alongside the Justice League, where the Challengers run day-to-day operations from the massive Watchtower base in orbit above Earth, Ace Morgan, June Robbins, Professor Haley, Red Ryan, and Rocky Davis must team with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of the League to seal the rifts that threaten the galaxy. But a mysterious foe from the Challengers' past lurks in the shadows, and its connection to the Godshock will put the DCU on borrowed time. So that's interesting. It's a crossover of the Challengers of the Unknown, or the Fantastic Four of the DC with the Trinity.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. The premise sounds a wee bit like what they're doing in X-Force at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Forge has this sort of thing that shows cracks in the world, and they go and solve the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. That's definitely something on my list.
Well, it's nice to see Christopher Cantwell on another book there as well.
It surely is. It surely is.
I mean, we'll certainly be chatting about it when it comes to reviews, but Plastic Man No More.
Oh, so good.
That was a first issue.
Yeah, that really...
But again, you're here for the previews, not the reviews. So, Challenge of the Unknown #1 there as well. And yeah, as I was saying before, there are a couple of titles, you know, launching in the Bat universe. I think one of those caught your eye more than others.
It did. And I'm sorry, I'm stealing all your Bat books here.
Oh, you're all good. There'll be another one. It's cut off ahead tomorrow, you know.
So this is from the artist of Absolute Wonder Woman and the new writer of Nightwing, presenting 4 deadly mysteries from Batman's early years. This is Batman Dark Patterns #1, written by Dan Waters, art and cover by Hayden Sherman, with a bunch of variant covers. This is a $4.99 book, and set during the early years of Batman's career, Batman Dark Patterns delves into 4 mysterious cases as he attempts to cement his place as Gotham City's protector, while the city itself fights back against him. This is the Dark Knight detective at his most stripped-down core, a man relying on his wits, his skills, and little else as he tackles some of the most twisted mysteries Gotham City and its protector have ever encountered. This is case #1, called We Are Wounded. A series of sickeningly gruesome murders has sent shockwaves through Gotham. Are these the random works of a serial killer, or is there something more sinister at play? You mean you don't get too much more sinister than a serial killer, to be fair? Batman attempts to get to the bottom of the mystery before any more victims are claimed. I guess that appealed to me because I really enjoyed that first night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm really enjoying sort of
early stuff,
early stripped down Batman. So this is definitely appealing to me for sure. So.
Yeah, it doesn't specify that it's an ongoing or whatever, but I'd guess by that solicitation saying 4 mysterious cases, you would think it'd be a 4-part miniseries.
One case per issue, would sort of make sense. And sure, we'll stick to that for now and until we have further information. I
mean, I will say, based on the cover art, that is one big bat symbol.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, are they just making are they going by the Frank Miller thing here of, you know, the bat symbol was always a target? That's where, you know, the Kevlar was most prominent. And because that's what criminals aimed for. So that
it also looks like it's kind of like a jumper or a t-shirt over armor.
Yeah.
The way he's pulling the fabric down, it looks, you know, rather than stenciled onto his armor or whatever. So.
But yeah, no, Dan Waters, I was speaking to someone about Dan Waters in the shop today and saying, like, he's already got a really good sort of portfolio of books so far, but he is someone to watch, I think, in the next couple of years.
Yeah, very much so. Across both the indie space and DC space.
And he's done a decent chunk of Marvel as well, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, definitely someone to watch there. I think that's someone who's going to be in the rise the next couple of years. But yeah, staying in Gotham, one that definitely caught my eye is Two-Face #1. This is written by Christian Ward with art by Fabio Veras. Now, I kind of like that they're doing these books exploring Batman Rogues Galleries, or the Batman Rogues Gallery. You know, Penguin just finished, so there's a nice little space there for just another one to start. You've got some glorious covers here as well. That Chris Samney cover is just amazing, with sort of Two-Face standing beside what looks like a Dent re-election poster.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and yeah, let us know what's...
But yeah, so for Two-Face #1, after years of internal conflict, both halves of Harvey Dent have reached an uneasy peace. Now Harvey will use his skills as an attorney to resolve the conflicts of Gotham's weirdest and most dangerous criminals, starting with Victor Zsasz. When Zsasz is accused of murdering a fellow member of Gotham's underworld contingent, who better to prove a criminal's innocence than someone who's been on both sides of the law? So it does sound as much like it's going to be a Harvey Dent book as much as a Two-Face book. And that's the kind of stuff I like. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Like, I'm a fan of the movie Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But see, if you go back and watch it, there's literally like one scene at the start for maybe about 15 seconds where there's a Harvey Dent voice. The rest of the movie is just Two-Face, Two-Face, Two-Face.
Yeah.
The interesting part of Two-Face as a character is that internal struggle, which they obviously do much better in The Dark Knight. But I think that's going to be pretty great. And I think, as I say, it's coming out at just the right time, just where Penguin ended. So there's a little bit of a void there.
And it's under the all-in banner as everything this month is. As everything seems to be over the next couple of months with DC. Made me wonder whether or not, you know, because Ram's Detective Comics came to an end, and there was a lot of sort of shifting of pieces there, including Two-Face trying to decide what his next move was.
Yeah.
And, you know, given, you know, how close Ram and Dan Waters are, I wonder, is this sort of almost spinning out of the end of Ram's Detective Comic runs? Because he was ready, he looked like he was ready for a change of status quo. He was trying to figure out whether or not he was going to stay in Gotham City now that Batman was very much back in charge, or whether or not it was time to move on. So, you know, interesting.
It'd definitely be an interesting one there. Another interesting one, I mean, it was the creative team that caught my eye on this before anything else, but the little blurb has "Get on the ground floor with everyone's favourite physical state of matter ahead of James Gunn's upcoming Superman movie. What do they know that we don't?" With regards to the content of that. The title is Metamorpho, the Element Man. Now, again, the reason this caught my eye as much as anything, aside from that amazing Ian Bertram cover, because he's one of my favourite artists, is the creative team. Al Ewing is writing this and Steve Leiber on art. Now, the last book I remember Steve Leiber doing was Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, and that book was fantastic.
It was brilliant, yeah.
You know, that was him and Matt Fraction, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And it was a wonderful book. So, Metamorpho, the Element Man, to know him is to love him, that fab freak who can change himself into any element in the human body. He's the one and only Rex Mason, alias Metamorpho. But can even he win out against Cyclops, the hairy eyeball of crime that gazes from the top of the pop charts to the lowest depths of evil, and even into the far-off, far-out Ra realm? To find out, the Element Man must survive a hand-picked assassin who can match him change for change. And that's just the first issue. Join us for this covalent bond of friends and foes in a brand new ongoing series.
Covalent bond of friends and foes. Brilliant.
From superstar team Al Ewing and Steve Leiber. So again, that is a perfect example of following creators as much as characters, because a Metamorpho book in general, would that have massively appealed to me? I'm not sure, but that's a creative team that definitely excites me, so I will be jumping in on that.
Just to pick up on your question there, what does he know that we don't? James Gunn promises Superman Legacy revolves around Superman and Lois as more DC characters join cast, including Anthony Corrigan to join Superman Legacy as DC character Metamorpho. So, interesting.
But how big of a role does he have in that?
You can confirm that Barry Star, I don't know what Barry is, Anthony Corrigan will be playing the character Metamorpho, a figure with the ability to... There you go, I don't know.
Well, moving on to more established characters and more established team-ups, we have a one-shot, the hard-traveling heroes together again. Green Lantern and Green Arrow, World's Finest Special, #1. So this is a 48-page one-shot written by Jeremy Adams, art by Lucas Meyer and Travis Mercer, and a glorious cover by the always dependable and ever-excellent Dan Mora. So again, under the all-in banner, as Keith says, pretty much everything is this month. Everyone's favourite hard-traveling heroes are back and brought to you through the iconic lens of World's Finest. In the not-too-distant past, Oliver Queen and Hal Jordan find themselves at a crossroads, and only teaming up together once more will save them from the scope of the mysterious bounty hunter known in whispered tones throughout the underworld as Deathstroke the Terminator. Plus, writer Jeremy Adams returns to the world of The Flash to weave a twisted tale of Barry Allen on the road to crisis. It's a world's finest adventure you cannot miss in this special, oversized, one-shot spectacular. I'm all for anything being put under the world's finest banner, given the amazing work that Mark Waid and Dan Moore have been doing.
Yeah, I mean that's one of DC's best books, month to month.
Yeah,
is World Finest. This is obviously a slightly different take on that. I mean, they're using World's Finest, but then World's Finest is DC's thing. Yeah, I mean, Green Arrow has been going through a bit of a thing recently. He was kind of on Amanda Waller's side or has been on through Absolute Power. So I'm interested to see how he comes out the other end of that. I mean, I guess he has his reasons for that.
Well, the good thing is as well with Green Arrow is that Joshua Williamson's been writing it to this point, but Chris Condon's taken over it, and that's really interesting. Obviously, that Texas Blood is certainly a favorite of the pod. So and Enfield Gang Massacre, of course, which was absolutely fantastic.
I saw that and saw Green Arrow. I can probably do without that. And then I saw Chris Condon, and I was like,
damn you for following creators over characters. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the single issues we're just highlighting there. There's, of course, plenty of other great stuff. You know, Gargoyle of Gotham looks like it's finally going to be released, the third issue of that fantastic Raphael Grampa series. You know, great titles like Jenny Sparks are continuing. The Absolute Universe is continuing, as we say. But we'll move on from the singles, and just, as I say, I wanted to highlight a little bit the collected editions at the back of the book, because there is a lot of really good stuff this month. As I say, DC are really going full throttle on the compact editions, and there are 4 solicited here for release in the month of December. So you've got Deceased, DC Compact Comics Edition. Deceased, of course, was the excellent Tom Taylor and Trevor Hurson, let's be honest, their version of Mortal Zombies, but it was absolutely brilliant. 216 pages you're going to be getting in that first compact edition there. You've got Static Season 1 DC Compact Comics Edition, 184 pages, and that is Vita Ayala and Nicholas Draper Ivy. You get a Stone Cold Classic in Superman Birthright being released in this period as well.
Oh, wow.
Mark Waid, Lionel Francis Yu on art, 312 pages for $10/9. It really is fantastic. And then one I would recommend to you, Keith, if you've never read it, and you would be interested in it just because of the writer, Batwoman Elegy. And this was done with Greg Rucka writing and J.H. Williams III.
Sign me up. That's J.H. Williams of Egolands.
Yeah. Thoroughly amazing art, and the ever dependable Greg Rucka on writing duties as well. But the other thing to showcase here is DC Finest. So these haven't started to arrive in stores just yet. I'm pretty sure we have highlighted them on a previous pod, but DC Finest is essentially DC's retort to Marvel's Epic Collections, which is putting together runs from the past, maybe 20 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, and putting them all into one sequential volume. So this month you've got DC Finest Doom Patrol, The World's Strangest Heroes. That is 624 pages, and that collects stories from March 1964 to November 1966. So really going back to the early days of the Doom Patrol there. You've got DC Finest Green Arrow Longbow Hunters. This has always been considered one of the great Green Arrow runs, with Mike Grell and Denny O'Neil on writing duties, with art by Mike Grell, Dennis Cowan, Klaus Janson, and others. So that contains quite a lot of stuff in there, and runs from August 1987 to October 1988. You've got Harley Quinn, Birth of the Mirth. This is basically going to be Harley from the start.
Was her first appearances in the DC universe whenever she ported over from the animated series?
So it was Batman Adventures 12, and then Mad Love, which was her origin, and then you get the follow-up escapades as well with, you know, issues from Action Comics, Legends of Dark Knight, Detective, Catwoman, and more. And then the last one, and this is definitely a welcome one because this is one of DC's best ever stories, I think.
Wolfman and Perez, of course.
Absolutely. DC Finest Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, 536 pages. Written by Marv Wolfman, as you say, as well as Mike Barr. Art by George Perez, Gil Kane. Witness one of the greatest acts of betrayal in comics history in The Judas Contract, where one of the Teen Titans' own turns on them. But from this tragedy, a new hero will arise, and he will change Keith Miller's life. Enter Nightwing. So yeah, that collects that entire storyline, you know, and as I say, the first appearance of Nightwing. So
that's a really good price. I might grab that as well.
Yeah, those books look to be really, really good, and they're full-size books. They're not the size of the
compact.
compact editions. And then just one last one. In fact, I'll say two last ones just because I got to throw in a bit of love for Absolute Superman Red Sun. You ever read Red Sun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of Mark Miller's best, wasn't it?
Stone Cold classic. Written by Mark Miller, art by Dave Johnson, Andrew Robinson.
It's a classic what if.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it?
Keith, we're in the world of DC. It's Elseworlds. Jeez. Marvel going to sue us
But
here.
it's easier to say, what if Superman landed in Russia instead of America rather than Elseworlds?
This is definitely the funny part because you go to the solicitation and it says, this Elseworlds tale asks, what if Superman's But yeah, the crux of Red Sun was, as Keith says, what if Superman's rocket landed in post-World War II Russia instead of Kansas? As a believer in socialism, would he become the loyal puppet to the state? Mark Miller presents the Man of Steel of the Iron Curtain, so collects the entire 3-issue miniseries featuring a new cover, development sketches, original page art, and more, and that's being done in the Absolute format. But the last one I just wanted to throw a bit of love towards was the Batman by James Tynion, the 4th Omnibus Volume 1. So Tynion, he took over from Tom King. I remember at the time not being too pleased about that because I was enjoying King's run. It felt like it was cut a bit short. But certainly from a store perspective, James Tynion reinvigorated Batman on our store. It was the perfect jumping on point for people. It was slightly more blockbustery storytelling as opposed to King's maybe more sort of deliberately paced Batman tale. So this is rather large. It's 1,040 pages from the best-selling award-winning writer of Detective Comics, Justice League Dark, and Something is Killing the Children, and celebrated artists Jorge Jimenez and Guillaume March, comes the landmark saga that brought Gotham to its knees and introduced the world of Punchline, Ghostmaker, Clown Hunter, and more. One epic interwoven across 2 series and 2 volumes begins here. Collects Batman 86 to 105, Batman Annual, several annuals, Batman RIP, more Batman issues, Joker issues. It's massive. Brand new cover as well, and an introduction by Jorge Jimenez as well. So if you're a fan of Batman runs, I have to say there was some really, really good stuff through that Tynion run, and nice to see it collected into omnibus form. So
see that a couple of pages on that Batman Nightfall omnibus volume 2, Night Quest. I would consider going back and getting that first volume.
I do have the 3 volumes of Nightfall, so if you ever do want to do a read of it, just say the word and I'll fire it your way. Nightfall is the kind of thing, I suppose it's a bit like the likes of the Clone Saga, that it is terrible to try and put together run because it's across so many books. So this again is where the omnibus format really does sing. But I suppose before moving on from DC, I should maybe let you highlight one. We didn't write it down, but I'm sure you're going to want to highlight it right.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's what Alan's referring to is John Constantine Hellblazer, Dead in America, which is the recent picking up of Cy Spurrier and Aaron Campbell's original run on Hellblazer, which was fantastic. Ended far too quickly, and then DC kind of went, "Oh, that was a silly thing to do.
Please come back
and let them pick up with a comment rather than a comment on post-Brexit Britain. This was a comment on the current state of America. So I'd say written by Cy Spurrier, art by Aaron Campbell, both of whom will be at Thought Bubble this year.
Yep.
The celebrated creative team of Cy Spurrier and Aaron Campbell return to Hellblazer. John Constantine has cheated death once again, but his heart's not beating, his body is decaying, and he, his friend Nat, and his son Noah are on the run in America, wanted for murder. Naturally, it's all John's fault, but as it turns out, Dream of the Endless needs John's help. Collects the complete miniseries of John Constantine Hellblazer, Dead in America, numbers 1 to 11.
Excellent. And just as I thought I was finished, I can't be finished because I did miss out on one. It's right at the end of the book, and it is up there with DC's very best for me, and will definitely be in the best of the year reckoning come the end of December, and that is the collected edition for The Boy Wonder, written and drawn by Juni Ba. Focuses primarily on Damian, but it basically explores the whole idea of the mantle of Robin and what it actually means. So the young prince Damian Wayne was raised to be the heir to the fearsome League of Assassins, but everything changed when his father, the Batman, reclaimed him and brought him back to Gotham. As Robin, Damian discovered he was merely one of several princes, preceded in the role by his brothers Nightwing, Red Hood, and Red Robin. Visionary writer-artist Juni Ba makes his mark on the timeless story of Batman and Robin, synthesizing the character's complex history into an accessible and heart-rending tale. So yeah, that is going to do it for DC. What do we have come Marvel? And yeah, I mean, Marvel still have plenty of number ones, as you say, but there seems to be a bit of a theme with some of Marvel stuff, that it is almost like a retrospective at the end of the year, which we'll certainly get into in a wee second. But a couple of books that caught my eye just early on in the book. The first one, you'd mentioned it in your intro, Laura Kinney Wolverine back in her own book. Erica Schultz writing, who of course recently did the X-23 miniseries Deadly Regenesis, art by Giada Belviso. Wolverine takes the fight to those who stand as enemies of mutant kind. Laura Kinney was bred to be the ultimate assassin as X-23. She's long left that life behind, but as she encounters mutants being forced to use their powers against their will, Wolverine takes it upon herself to right these wrongs, no matter who stands in the way. Dynamic scripter Erica Schultz and rising star artist Giada Belvisio bring Wolverine on her first mission abroad in the From the Ashes era, as Laura takes the fight to mutant oppressors wherever they may hide. That leads us on rather nicely to all new Venom, and Keith has some theories.
Quite.
Different symbiote, different person.
Theories on a book that I'm not reading. I've got no idea who's in the symbiote, but the color, the yellow and black would suggest it's Sleeper, who is the I think the grandson of Venom, something along those lines. I can't remember or what the link to the Venom symbiote is, but certainly throughout the early parts of Al Ewing and Ram V's run was masquerading as a cat. So that looks like Sleepwalker rather than the Venom symbiote, do you not think?
Interesting. I love that your depth of the Marvel universe is so great that even a book you're not reading, you're still able to put a coherent theory together. But yeah, it's going to be a brand new number one. It's called All New Venom. It's written by Al Ewing, art by Carlos Gomez, who is the All New Venom. The smiling, swashbuckling spider hero New York loves to hate his back, and more fun-loving than ever. That's right, it's Venom. An all-new host is taking the symbiote in a whole new direction. But who? It could be the journalist, the terrorist, the sidekick, or even the mayor. We're giving you all the clues, good believers, but you won't know until the mask comes off. Writer Al Ewing takes Venom in a completely new direction with artist Carlos Gomez, bringing the story to gorgeous life. So that is going to debut with a 40-page number one. It does have a rather class-looking wraparound symbiote cover variant by Humberto Ramos.
And a new font, a new brand on the all new Venom.
I mean, we don't want to talk about logos here, Keith. You know, we'll set some people off. You know, about logos. But one more just for me, and then I will turn it over to my Marvel loving chum, and that is Helverine number one. So this is actually going to be hilariously the second volume of Helverine within a year. Which is just weird. Just keep the numbering going, guys.
It's and off the back of that Wolverine Ghost Rider crossover, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah. And then we had a 5-issue miniseries, Helverine, written by Benjamin Percy, and now we're getting a new one. But yeah, they have upgraded it, in fairness, in the blurb here to his first ongoing series. Okay. So maybe that was a test on ground. But yeah, great to see Benjamin Percy back writing it. Art by Raphael Ienco. Helverine rides again in his first ongoing series. It's hellfire-fueled, claw-slashing action in the mighty Marvel manner. I do love it when they say mighty Marvel manner. As Helverine blazes a new path across the Marvel universe, the demon Abagra Ghul possessed Wolverine, turning him into a killing machine. But Logan is no stranger to caging the beast within his soul, and the demon learned his heroic ways. Now it's resurrected Akihiro, and the two must learn to live as one, the Helverine. But they can't do it alone. Enter Doctor Strange. Brought to you by the writer who put the Hellfire in Helverine, Benjamin Percy, and blazing hot artist Raphael Ienco. It's time to see why this new character has so much heat in issue 1 of this fan-demanded ongoing series. Now, my question is that actual Doctor Strange, or is that a different Sorcerer Supreme that has been introduced to comics not too long ago?
It did say Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So I think it is Doctor Strange, but I mean, Helverine. So this is clearly Akihiro. This is Wolverine's son rather than Wolverine.
Yeah.
Just for me, I don't know. It feels like Cosmic Ghost Rider all over again.
Cosmic Ghost Rider was cool. I really like Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're not a fan of these, Deadpool-like characters and Cosmic Ghost Riders and Helverines into the bargain. But
yeah, exactly.
But I mean, Benjamin Percy, the man with
100%,
the man with the greatest voice in comics. Yeah. Having recently listened to a pod interview.
Also a fantastic writer, great Wolverine stuff, great Predator stuff, and Predator versus.
He's also sort of single-handedly keeping the Ghost Rider side of Marvel alive at the moment.
It kind of is, and I'm good with it. Yeah. I'm good with it. Him and Ed Brisson. But yeah, it's just not for me.
That's fair.
But what is for me, and again, we're talking about the sort of the wrap-up issues you get, the one-shots at the end of the year, and we've got one here for the Ultimate Universe, and that's Ultimate Universe 1 Year In, #1, by Dennis Camp, who is currently writing the Ultimates, and Jonas Scharf. There is covers by Raphael Albuquerque, but there's a raft of variant covers as well. The clock is ticking down to the Maker's arrival. Dennis Camp flips the narrative on Ultimates and takes us inside the Maker's Council. The heroes of the Ultimate Universe aren't the only ones who've been preparing for the return of the Maker, and the clock is ticking down. This unique one-shot sets the stage for the second year of the Ultimate line and includes the debut of the Ultimate versions of 2 major Marvel characters. Who might they be, I wonder? Any theories?
Well, I mean, we do see that glorious Hasselhoff era Nick Fury right there, which makes me rather happy. I did see a little bit of a preview art for a later issue of Ultimates, which is going to introduce the Ultimate version of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't know if that'll necessarily be within that issue, but I guess we shall wait and see.
Either way, Dennis Camp's doing great work on the Ultimates, and I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, big time. Another thing that's getting a new volume is Alien. I mean, Marvel have been really good with the Alien license, I think. So far, they've been hiring great writers, Phil Kennedy Johnson, Declan Shelby, been hiring great artists on it as well. So we've got a new one called Alien Paradiso. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries. Welcome to Paradiso, where the money flows like blood and blood flows like acid. The Tulum of Space, Paradiso is a hidden gem among the colonies. With its tropical climate, white sand beaches, and a remarkable population of hyper-wealthy criminals. When colonial marshals Daesh Nanda and Lydia Reeves are sent there to bust a smuggling ring, they think they've hit the job assignment jackpot. But the only ones getting lucky here are those hungry enough to take what they need. Steve Fox, Edgar Salazar, and guest contributor Peter Wayne shine neon lights on the horrors of the Alien franchise with a bold story of the gambles we must take to survive. That sounds really, really cool. Actually, I love the idea of like a floating sort of casino in space and it being populated by rich criminals more than anything. So, but yeah, Alien Paradiso #1, and again, going to be a 5-issue miniseries.
Very cool. And speaking of Philip Kennedy Johnson, we've got him in something slightly different here, and that's Hellhunters #1 of 5 with Adam Gorham. So you remember it was in Ghost Rider book, wasn't it? Or was it the
Incredible Hulk?
Incredible Hulk book, sorry. Yeah, we were introduced to Ghost Rider 44. In 1944, as U.S. Sergeant Sal Romeo was parachuted into Nazi-occupied Europe, young Nazi officer Felix Bruckner becomes the host of an unspeakable evil. In the aftermath of their violent meeting, Romero is reborn as Ghost Rider 44, who sets out not only to take revenge on Bruckner and the Nazis, but to save mankind from annihilation. Featuring an all-star cast of Marvel's most badass heroes, don't miss the origin of Incredible Hulks, Ghost Rider 44, and amongst those badass heroes, we've got some of the Howling Commandos, including Nick Fury. Looks like Bucky there. We've got Wolverine. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks like a badass team. I always love World War II set stories as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And again, just a second one of those wrap-up books, and maybe more prominent because it usually covers the entire Marvel Universe. We have Time Slide #1. In previous years, this type of book has been written by Jed McKay. This year, it's been written by Steve Fox with Ivan Fiorelli on art. There's a bunch of variant covers, including a lovely one there by Rob Liefeld of Cable. What is the fate of the Marvel Universe? As X-Man from the future arrives in the present with a dire warning. Now, I wonder, is that X-Man? I wonder, is that Nate Gray of Age of Apocalypse fame? As X-Man arrives from the future, arrives in the present with a dire warning. One of mutant kind's most hyper-advanced foes is eating his way through time, trying to stop the X gene from ever evolving in the first place. Only 2 X-Men can stop this chrono predator from achieving his goal. They can tolerate working together long enough. Join Bishop and Cable on a trip through futures past, present, and beyond. Your first look at the most unforgettable stories of 2025 begins here.
Oh, just saying 2025 hammers at home even quicker, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just?
Remember when you watch Back to the Future and like 2015 was like years away and stuff, and now it's like a decade ago. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the good stuff. Oh, no, there we go. On sale April 2025. Just can't escape it. We're moving into the collected editions, and there's a couple of omnibuses and one collected edition that really stand out this month. For me, the big one is Silver Surfer Return to the Spaceways Omnibus. This is written by John Byrne, Stan Lee, Steve Englehart, Jim Valentino, Tom DeFalco. You've got art by John Byrne, Marshall Rogers, Joe Staton, Ron Lim, John Buscema, Mobius. All kinds of great creators in there. So the Sentinel of the Spaceways soars again in his longest running series. After years trapped on Earth, the Silver Surfer finally breaks free of Galactus' barrier and returns to the stars. His full power cosmic restored, he heads for Zenla. But the old saying holds true, you can't go home again. While the age-old war between the Kree and the Skrulls heats up once again, the Elders of the Universe target Galactus. But love is the greatest force of all. Will Surfer find it with his old flame, Shalabal, with Galactus' Herald Nova, or with the Celestial Madonna Mantis, plus the origin of Galactus, a blockbuster team up with the Fantastic Four, Ego the Living Planet, and a stunning collaboration between the legendary Stan Lee and the visionary Mobius, wherein the only one who can stop Galactus from leading mankind to its doom is the Silver Surfer. This collects Silver Surfer number 1 from 1982, Silver Surfer 1987 run 1 to 33, and a couple of annuals, the Marvel graphic novel Silver Surfer, Silver Surfer the Enslavers, Fantastic Four issues, Supervillain Classics, and material from Epic Illustrated, Marvel Comics Presents, and Marvel Fanfare. That is a weighty tome at 1,360 pages of absolute glorious goodness. And that's definitely my standout in terms of the collected editions. Although I do have to admit, the other standout omnibus this month is quite the standout omnibus as well.
Mm-hmm. And that would be this one.
Very much so.
And this is the Strange Academy omnibus with hardcover with an Humberto Ramos cover. Strange Academy was a fantastic book. It was written by Scotty Young. It was penciled by Humberto Ramos. And we've got covers here by both. The Marvel Universe's first school of sorcerers throws open its doors. Doctor Strange has finally established an academy for the mystic arts, bringing together young people from across the cosmos with an aptitude for magic to study under tutors including Dr. Voodoo, the Ancient One, the Scarlet Witch, Magic, Demon Hellstrom, and all your favourite Marvel mages. From mindful, mindless ones to pan-dimensional games of tag, the Strange Academy definitely lives up to its name, but the students' first field trip highlights a fuse that will blow up in a big way. Tragedy strikes, hearts are broken, uncanny new abilities manifest, and huge secrets are revealed. But as final exams draw near and threats mount, who will be the saviour of Strange Academy? And who can bring it all crashing down? And spoiler, it's not who you think. Collecting Strange Academy number 1 to 18 and Strange Academy Finals number 1 to 6. So that's kind of the whole story as far as I'm concerned. 592 pages coming in at $100. That is very, very worthwhile getting. That was just a book that was absolutely full of heart, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, great book. You know, Scotty Young was pretty much him making his sort of long form Marvel debut with that. But yeah, I mean, it's such an easy sell as well. It's, you know, if you're looking to get like younger readers in the comics, it's Harry Potter in the Marvel universe. You know,
it gets kind of dark there towards the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, but brilliant book though. Very, very highly recommended.
Another one that sort of snuck up on us a wee bit. It's a January 2025 solicit, but that's Doctor Doom, Books of Doom. And it's a new printing written by Ed Brubaker, penciled by Pablo Raimondi, with an Alex Ross cover. From the black steppes of Eastern Europe to the college campuses of New York City, and finally to the throne of Latveria, this is the life of Doctor Doom. From his earliest disasters to his scientific triumphs to the tragedy of the fractured man he would become, this is the story you know and the one that you don't. The story of the missing years and the journey that shaped the man would be king. An epic tragedy in comic form. This is unlike any Doom story you've ever seen. Witness Victor Von Doom's life from his earliest moments to the day he took the throne of Latveria in this sweeping saga of tragedy and destiny. Collecting the Books of Doom number 1 to 6. That's 152 pages, and that's coming in at $19.99. So that is a definite pickup for me, especially with Ed Brubaker's name on it.
Yeah, I mean, once we started sort of talking about that, certainly in our little group chat, pre-orders started coming in already. Between yourself, between Stuart, between the Crossman. I mean, Ed Brubaker, Doctor Doom. You know, that pretty much just sells itself.
I think that's a fairly early Brubaker book.
Oh yeah,
I think it's. I can't remember what year it was. Whether it's 90s. I'm going to embarrass myself now.
Britain, 2022,
2006. But yeah, I mean that was That was before Winter Soldier. That was sort of before the X-Men stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be one to get a look at for sure.
Yeah, anything. I mean, he's one of those writers, isn't he? That anything he writes, we pretty much jump straight on. So it's always nice when you see some of his earlier work being reprinted and things like that as well. So, yeah, definitely one to look forward to there.
Cool.
So that's Marvel, that's DC. Let's swing into indie then. And normally we would kick things off with the Image section, but ever since they changed the book around, it's actually Boom up first. So we'll jump in with a couple of Boom solicitations. The first one being a quote gem of the month. This is a title called In Bloom. It is a brand new number one, going to be a 5-issue miniseries written by Michael W. Conrad and drawn by John Pearson. And I have to say, this sounds great. And there was also some preview art in the book.
It looks great, doesn't it?
Gorgeous looking book. So blurb-wise, it goes, 43% of the cells within a healthy human body belong to something other than the human host. Microbiomes, invasive bacteria, fungal and viral agents, and something else, something more. When the bloom happens, humanity was changed forever, transformed by some symbiotic fungal megasystems that infected their bodies. Some affected people grew new body parts. Some found their personalities changed in radical new ways, while others reported contact with some other intelligence, not their own. In this revolutionary new world, Agent Bayonetta finds herself investigating a series of mysterious murders, a chain of violence that leads her to a terrifying question on which the fate of every living being rests. Visionary writer Michael Conrad and Eisner Award-winning illustrator John J. Pearson present the boundary-pushing science fiction saga evocative of The Last of Us, Blade Runner, and Annihilation.
Sounds very, very The Last of Us. That statistic, I'd love to double check it, but that statistic that what does say 43%? 43% of you isn't you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's a scary thought in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The one I want to highlight from Boom is associated with the Something is Killing the Children universe. And again, kind of one of those almost wrap-up preview sort of books. I think last year we had the Book of Slaughter, didn't we? Or no, the Book of Butcher.
Book of Butcher, Book of Slaughter was here before
so this
that.
is the third of these, which is the Book of Cutter. And if that name will mean something to you, if you've been reading Something is Killing the Children, one of the freakiest characters introduced in this series so far. So Book of Cutter is, again, Gem of the Month. It's written by James Tynion, illustrated by Werther Dell'Edera, so it's our
the original,
the
OGs.
Killing. Yeah, absolutely. And as it crosses its 5th anniversary, the Slaughterverse unveils one of its darkest chapters yet in this oversized one-shot exploring a brand new facet of the mythos of monsters, the ones who hunt them. Maxine Slaughter, a former park hunter who renounced her white mask to take up the black for the Order of St. George, journeys to Europe to seek out House Cutter and their mysterious ways. Eisner Award-winning team of iconic writer James Tynion IV, legendary artist Werther Dell'Edera, and acclaimed colorist Miguel Muerto close out 5 years of nightmares with this pivotal entry into the blockbuster horror saga. 96 pages coming in at the £10 price point, so that is, I think that'll be unmissable for those of us who are big fans of the Something is Killing the Children universe, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, that universe just continues to grow and expand, through different books. I think there's a Netflix adaptation on the way at the moment. They are ripping the mick out of it a little bit, I find, in comics. They keep releasing like pen and ink editions of number one and, reprints of number one. And then I think there was something in this was like a collection of all the covers and art inspired by it and stuff. So they're definitely running that well dry, to say the least. But it is a fantastic book. So, certain amount of leeway is given. But something that I've really enjoyed this year that is almost at its end, I think with just one more issue to come, is a book released through Mad Cave. It is called Sanction. I'm pretty sure I highlighted the number one when we did a previous reviews podcast.
You certainly did, yeah.
Excellent stuff. It's written by Ray Fox with art by Antonio Fuso. To catch a rampaging serial killer in Soviet-era Leningrad, two detectives must match wits with the murderer while battling the oppressive rules of their own police force and a greater hidden enemy. So it was a cracking miniseries, just dripping with atmosphere. Really beautiful art by Antonio Fuso as well. And it's hitting collected edition in December 11th. So nice to actually recommend the graphic novel collection that is out before Christmas. Giving nearly every Marvel one we did was a pre-solicitation. So Yeah, definitely one I would highly recommend there, and one we'll certainly get into the store.
Yeah, it's a good one. I remember you talking about that.
But yeah, in terms of the stuff that we're going to be highlighting here from the indie book, it's no surprise perhaps because it happens more months than most, but most of the stuff we found was definitely from Image Comics, and there is some great looking stuff here. The first one that caught my eye is going to be an 8-issue mini-series. It's written and drawn by J.G. Jones, industry legend right there, also co-written by Phil Bram. That's a series called Dust to Dust. So comics all-star artist J.G. Jones presents the first suspense-filled issue of his new Giant Generator limited series, so coming in under the Rick Remender imprint and Image. Jones, teaming up with co-writer Phil Bram, spins an unforgettable yarn of desperation, murder, and resilience in this beautifully hand-painted story of Americana in the primal grip of brutality. In the darkest days of the Great Depression, death stalks the Dust Bowl. As towering dust storms blast the parched Oklahoma panhandle, farmers try to flee the flailing town of New Hope, but no one gets far. Battling his own demons, Sheriff Meadows teams up with Sarah, a traveling photojournalist, in a desperate fight to stop a serial killer on the loose, the death that rides the Dusters. Yeah, I'm a big fan of J. Jones' art in general. They're probably most well known for Wanted, if you go for like their biggest hit. But I actually have a framed 7 cover sort of it was the 7 covers of Final Crisis that they did, and one of each hero, and I have that framed in the house all in a row. That's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, Dust to Dust #1 from Image Comics in December.
Brilliant. So for me, I mean that does sound cool. That sounds, I think, anything in that sort of Dust Bowl sort of Great Depression era kind of gets me
right for storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, going a slightly different track, we have from Image, and it's a magazine format, 48 pages. Freddy the Fix one shot. It's written by Garth Ennis with art by Mike Perkins, so a couple of legends there. A twisted horror tale from Garth Ennis, the legendary creator of The Boys and Preacher, and Mike Perkins, known for Batman First Night and Swamp Thing. Hollywood After Dark, werewolves, vampires, zombies, aliens, boogeymen, predators, and things. They all have their kinks, and they all get in deep shit. They all call Freddy to fix it. The horror-skewed intersection of The Boys and Ray Donovan. This debut offering from Ninth Circle, the creator-owned, creator-driven horror showcase of standalone, bone-chilling tales of terror and mayhem. Note, this one-shot will be perfect bound, magazine trim size, and feature a cardstock cover. So that from Garth Ennis.
I mean, that just reads like an Ennis solicitation, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. There was something else in here that I failed to note the cover for the page thingy for.
Yeah, it's a series of one-shots under the Horizon Experiment label. The first of which came out recently, which was the Mancurian, which was one that I know you enjoyed. I haven't had a chance to read it. I only got my issue this week, but I think it is
Mother Monsters.
Yeah, it's a title that maybe we shouldn't say too explicitly, given the nature of our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's these are a series of one shots that are sort of recasting typical scenarios in culturally different ways. So this the Horizon, it's all known as the Horizon Experiment, and this one's Mother Effing Monsters. It's a one shot from esteemed TV writer Jay Hold'em, who Emmy award-winning writer of The Handmaid's Tale and Marvel's Jessica Jones, and white-hot indie cartoonist Michael Lee Harris, known for Black Hitler and Chocoliche. They present an Evil Dead for black nerds, a modern spin on the action-packed horror comedy for fans of Bitterroot and Chew. So that's
saying all my buzzwords there.
I was going to say, absolutely.
Chew, Bitterroot, Evil Dead.
And I think that'll be like the third or fourth of those by the time December rolls around.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the first one, as I say, came out last week, which was the Mancurian, which was, sort of a spy thriller, which I know you said was very, very good.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But yeah, different creative teams for every book, I believe. A couple of collected editions I definitely wanted to point out from Image Comics, one of which was definitely one of my favorite books this year, which is Ain't No Grave. This is the Middle West team of Scotty Young writing and Jorge Corona on art. Eisner Award-winning writer Scotty Young and Transformers artist Jorge Corona The team behind the hit series Middle West and the Me You Love in the Dark are back with a brand new genre-bending tale of love, loss, bullets, and death. This Unforgiven-style journey is an original macabre Western fantasy tale for mature readers, told through a Guillermo del Toro-esque lens. Ryder put her violent past behind her when she fell in love and became a mother, but that was before she learned it was all going to be taken away. It's not the first time Ryder has been wanted. She picks her guns back up and rides to the city at the edge of the world to kill the one trying to rob her of life, death. Really, really excellent tale.
Brilliant.
I mean, there was long stretches of that book where they were just wordless, but the art and the sort of design of it and the atmosphere was just absolutely another level.
Totally carried it.
And then the other one I wanted to spotlight, and it's one that made us so happy when we saw the solicitation. So we were talking this year a couple of times, I'm pretty sure we mentioned at least 2 or 3 reviews pods, about 2 titles called The One Hand and The Six Fingers. So these were books. The One Hand was from Ram V, with art by Lawrence Campbell, and The Six Fingers was Dan Waters writing and Suma Kumar on art. So they were 2 stories that intersected with each other, which basically revealed a third story. But the reason we got happy when we saw the solicitation is it's being bundled together as one trade paperback, rather than, one trade for One Hand, one trade for Six Fingers. Not only that, I mean, it's going to come in at a $20 price point, which for 10 issues in total is a heck of a price.
And better than that, not only are they being bundled together, but they're being bundled together in the correct order.
In reading order.
One Hand, one, Six Fingers, one hand. Yeah.
So The One Hand tells the story of neo-novena detective Ari Nasir, a grizzled homicide detective who's about to retire with an enviable record until a brutal murder occurs, bearing all the hallmarks of the one-hand killer, which should be impossible since Ari already put him away not once but twice in years past. In The Six Fingers, neo-novena archaeology student Johannes Veil has always been so very in control of his life, but when he commits a brutal murder using the MO of a historic and notorious serial killer, everything begins to spiral out of control, and Johannes doesn't remember doing it. What follows is a deadly cat-and-mouse game told through 2 intertwined narratives. Both men will stop at nothing to unravel the secrets and ciphers of this case, but each revelation only leads further into the dark heart of this future metropolis. Collects The One Hand issues 1 to 5 and Six Fingers issues 1 to 5, with the miniseries issues as alternating chapters, which again is such a simple little thing, but see, putting things in reading order
makes a huge difference.
It's something that I always gripe about with omnibuses, like when they do events in omnibuses, they do like the first 5 issues is the event and then all the tie-ins instead of doing it in order of release.
I mean, that was so good, so dark. You totally forgot that it was set in the future. A lot of it, didn't you? Which was also key to how it all played out. So, very cool. So I just like to highlight 3 things. They're continuing series that are all hitting new arcs, but worth re-highlighting to you in case you're either not on them or have forgotten about them or want to pick up, the trades as they come up. So the first is the Power Fantasy number 5, written by Kieran Gillen and cover art by Caspar Wingard. This is the end of a story arc, and suggests that this is going to be a much longer running series. I'll not read you the solicitation, but the first 2 issues of this have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
A really good take on superheroes and what the world could be like if superheroes really existed. So I guess there's maybe comparisons to be drawn with Watchmen in some way. But yeah, this is like superpowers as effectively nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And how that escalation or de-escalation has to be handled.
Pretty sure we've still a couple of number 1s in the shop, so if it's something that sounds good to you, we can certainly hook you up.
So issue 5 ends the first arc of that. We also have a spotlight on Redcoat number 8 by Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch. And this is the start of a new story arc, another tale of everyone's favourite immortal British Redcoat. It's 1873 and travellers are disappearing within Labette County, Kansas, without a trace. Now Simon Pure finds himself on the trail of the latest missing person and his young daughter, leading him to one of the strangest and most violent clans of killers ever to have operated in the United States. But is this amount of evil too much for even Simon Pure to handle? I have been really enjoying Redcoat, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes next, both in his story and exploring this sort of twisted US history as well.
Yeah, no, but they've been great stuff so far. All the Ghost Machine books have been really, really good.
And then lastly, almost lastly, I think, I'd like to highlight what's the furthest place from here, number 20. This is Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss in what has been a really fantastic ongoing so far. Totally left to center. Just brilliantly written, brilliantly illustrated. Just keeps twisting and changing, and very, very cool. But this is the start of a new story arc, a whole new world, part one. Sid and the gang have finally escaped the world in which they grew up, but the mountains are full of secrets and weird little dudes. What lies beyond the mountains? Bad. That's what. So yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, true original series. I don't think there's anything you can even really compare it to.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But so good. Also, offered again on the same page, the Die, the role playing game by Kieran Gillen, Stephanie Hans. Players take on the roles of the authentically flawed people from a real world who gather together to play a game and are dragged into a mystical realm. What are they prepared to sacrifice to escape? And there's some scenarios and stuff for the Die RPG as well. So some cool stuff there. And we're finally moving on from Image here, are we?
We are indeed, yeah. There was just one I wanted to highlight from Dark Horse, which is actually randomly still got rights somehow to Star Wars. It actually releases some of the sort of all ages Star Wars stuff, I think, in conjunction with Marvel. So what they're doing here is Star Wars The Bad Batch, Ghost Agents #1. And this is written by Michael Marecki with art by Rory Coleman.
You're not one to usually land on Star Wars stuff.
No, but I definitely thought this was worth highlighting. I mean, we've got a lot of Bad Batch fans in the shop, and there's been a few guys have mentioned this title to me, so I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we got the info out there for the release. So it's going to be hitting in December. The Bad Batch is back for another high-octane adventure set during the Clone Wars.
The Bad Batch is back. Say that 3 times fast.
Their mission to hunt down the mysterious separatist ghost hunter who executed a daring heist on Coruscant. The thief's trail leads Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Tech to the seediest corners of the galaxy, where kingpins and thugs threaten the clones' mission and their lives. Have the Bad Batch met their match? Say that 5 times fast. Forget about the first one. Have the Bad Batch met their match? Yeah, try saying that 5 times fast. Might be a bit more of a struggle.
I believe you tried and failed.
I did. I tried and I failed. The lesson is never try. So we're going to be finishing of all places at Dynamite.
Dynamite that seems to attract our money more and more.
It really does recently, you know, between
absolutely.
Thundercats, the upcoming Terminator book. Dynamite are... Yeah.
And this book links to both of those books through both the title and the creator of that book. This is Thundercats Apex #1, which is written by Ed Brisson with art by Rafa Labosco. Across a desert landscape, a cloaked rider emerges from the shimmering heat, a lone figure on a battered mount. He's a tempting target for bandits, and temptation is not something that the inhabitants of these badlands are inclined to resist. Unfortunately for the miscreants who decide to waylay him, the choice will likely be the last one they ever make. And when the dusty traveller walks into the local saloon, it becomes clear that anyone who stands between him and his mission will share the same fate. But who is this mysterious stranger, and what is the target that he has fixed his glowing red eye upon? From otherworldly covers by Declan Shalvey, Lucio Perillo, Megan Hetrick, Jay Lee, and Jun Chung, this historic 40-page special from renowned writer Ed Brisson and acclaimed artist Rafa Labosco answers the most burning question on all of Third Earth: who is Apex? And sets the stage for a dramatic new story arc launching in Thundercats 11. So we had the first appearance of Apex in the recent Thundercats book. I can't remember what number that was.
It was issue 7.
Yeah, so this will be cool. They've listed this as a fistful of Thunderinium.
Say that 5 times fast.
Absolutely. So there is an interview with Ed Brisson about the spotlight on the mysterious Apex, talking about how he got into Thundercats, you know, his work history, the explosive new era in Thundercats, and so forth, and who his favorite Thundercat is. Panthro was his guy growing up.
Spoilers, Keith. Spoilers.
Just so you know. So yeah, that's Thundercats Apex #1, which is a one shot. So it being December that we're talking about, I thought I should finish with a festive special. How's that?
Do it.
Now, this is Gargoyles Winter Special from the OG Gargoyles creative team, a Bronx tale for the holidays. So it's from Greg Weisman and Nate Crosby, with artist George Cambadier. Disney and Dynamite present a very special Gargoyles holiday treat, Bronx's Silent Night. Bronx is the character in Gargoyles who is the dog-like character, so doesn't vocalize, doesn't speak very often. When a December blizzard blankets New York in snow, the city that never sleeps comes to a standstill, and the gargoyles awaken to find that Manhattan has been transformed into a silent winter wonderland. With the rest of the clan on patrol, Bronx is eager to explore his new landscape on his own, but his peaceful night is interrupted when a family is separated and Bronx has to sniff out the missing member before they're trapped under 10 feet of snow. Co-written by Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman and Nate Crosby, and illustrated by returning Gargoyles artist George Cambadius, this all-new 40-page special will warm the hearts of even the most jaded seasonal cynics. Fortified by glowing covers by Cambadius, Jay Lee, Jun Chung, Trish Forstner, and Chris Eliopoulos. Crime doesn't take snow days. So there you go. How's that?
And yes, people, your ears do not deceive you. Keith talked about at least 2 or 3 Christmas-themed books throughout this podcast.
Does that make you happy?
It's a Christmas miracle. A Christmas miracle on the 2nd of October. So, yeah, those are the October books, and a majority of those titles landing in December. A couple of them are advanced solicits for maybe March.
What's the final order cutoff? We're
Final
getting
order
this
cutoff.
out, getting this recorded good and early. We're
It's
getting it out
nice
good and early
this month, yeah, absolutely. So, the final order cutoff, I believe, is the 24th of October, so a good few weeks to get any pre-orders in for any of those titles that do appeal to you. You can pre-order through the usual channels, nip into the store, obviously do it in person. We've got sign-up sheets for any titles. You can drop us an email at coffeeandheroes@hotmail.com, drop us a message on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can find us, and we'll take care of that for you to always guarantee first print cover A's on release day as well. So again, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I hope it's proved useful for you as a resource, and hopefully we've pointed you in the direction of the best stuff coming out this December. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
So I've been Alan Taylor, and this has been Keith Miller.
You can find Alan in store at Coffee and Heroes most days, and on Twitter, where Alan is Coffee and Heroes 1 and I'm AscaniSun00. Coffee and Heroes is a local comic book store, coffee shop and community hub in Northern Ireland, based at Smithfield Market in the centre of Belfast.
You can also find Coffee and Heroes on Facebook and Instagram, or email us at coffeeandheroes@hotmail.com. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel as well.
Coffee and Heroes podcast is available on Spotify, Soundcloud, Apple Podcasts, and through all good podcast platforms. Please like and subscribe and leave a review so more people can find us.
And until next time, happy reading, and hope to see you in store soon.